Yay! Another little session where I force myself to speak at a fairly consistent rate on a totally irrelevant topic. Just for me to get in the habit of and feel comfortable speaking out loud like a human being. Because today, I did not do that. I failed. And by failed, I guess I mean I just didn't have anything to say. It's Sunday. And Sundays, I usually just stay inside and work on something. I would like to understand this game a little better. Although there's a good chance I do understand it, and I'm simply already playing it. I'm very accustomed to games having more linear or more laid out objectives or goals. This one just feels so abstract. But I was walking to the grocery store last night at around 2 a.m. or so. It was about a mile walk. It's very nice. It's very, focusing in a way, I suppose. Because there's just nobody out there except for me, and I do have the luxury of being a man, and I'm bigger than most of the people I see walking out there. I find it kind of funny, the idea of me being the scariest thing on the streets at night. But anyway, I was walking and I was starting to think about, somebody had mentioned to me that I had talked a bit about my time becoming an animator in the last little episode of this thing. And I honestly didn't even remember it, because I'm not consciously clocking what I talk about right now in these moments. This is truly all just me trying to feel a little more human. But it did make me think about the fact that I have never really had hobbies. Even as a kid, I had interests that quickly became passions. And then I would obsess over them. And then I would make it a point to get good enough at them to where I felt comfortable identifying myself as them. I never had hobbies. I had identities that I sort of used to generate or sum up my self-worth, I guess. That might be going a little too extreme, jumping to too many conclusions. But I certainly, even to this day, I don't really have any hobbies now. There's nothing I do that I don't make an effort to try to become good enough at to where I wouldn't be ashamed to identify myself as that thing. And if that doesn't happen, I kind of abandon the whole project or field, which is kind of crazy, but it really led me to start thinking about what I do and don't enjoy. And one of my biggest fears, I don't want to call it a realization because I don't want it to be true, is that I don't truly enjoy anything for the sake of the thing. even just, I don't like watching movies. I'll watch TV. But I like movies, or at least I tell myself that I like movies. But I tell myself I like movies and should watch them because I need to get better at directing. Because, I direct my own little projects and things as an animator. And I watch television because I tell myself I need to get better at writing. Just both structure and jokes and character. Everything... No, those are passive things. It's hard to call TV a hobby without sounding like you have nothing to offer. Which is like such a snap judgment. But it's... Obviously, I think it's maybe a little bit of an insight into the way I think about things. But also, can it really be that judgmental to think that watching TV a hobby is a little insane? It feels like a safe, a safe version of rude. Like, oh, what do you do for fun? I watch TV. Okay. All right. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes. I'm absolutely riddled with fear. Largely that, oops, that was so much money. I didn't know what I was doing. I fear that I have no hobbies, no interests. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I try to make everything... I think this is common among people who are sort of... Well, chronically online has a different meaning now, but... who create things and put them online. You try to make everything that you enjoy serve some kind of second function that helps you progress on some slightly more abstract path apart from living and working and enjoying your life. The weird pull of needing to post things online or create things or just exist online and... Well, no, not just exist online. I feel like I should be careful with myself, not because I said anything weird, but I think existing online can be super healthy and good if the intention of it is to connect with people and to try to find connection, because the likelihood of you connecting with people within the physical space of your life is very slim. I mean, you can connect on certain things, but as far as, niche hobbies and things, sometimes you simply have to go online to feel a connection with other people about something you care about. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the viewing hobbies, or viewing things that you enjoy, that I enjoy. I'll say I, because most of the people that I talk to don't really seem to struggle with this. They're aware of it enough to know what I'm talking about, but they don't experience it firsthand. It's like what would you even call it? The commodification of your own passion? Well, that seems obvious, but I'm not talking about passions. I'm talking about the smaller things. The littler things that really shouldn't have any value or meaning and shouldn't... Not that anything should dictate your self-worth, but the things that you care enough about to attach your name to treat them like a middle name, like Marcy the nail stylist, like the very specific things that maybe you would never introduce yourself that way. I wouldn't, because my name isn't Marcy. But something where you wouldn't be embarrassed to say it. It's just like a really bizarre, such a bizarre notion. An identity that you're proud of, you're not embarrassed to say out loud. But at the same time, doesn't contain self-worth in it. That's impossible. I just don't understand it. There's a little bit of a tangent, though. Going back to my fear is that I don't like anything. Because I don't do anything. I mean, I do a lot, but all of it has a reason. And maybe that's not even true, because I honestly don't know the reason why I do a lot of the stuff I do, or why I make a lot of the stuff that I make. I wouldn't necessarily say that I go through life acting in a way that confuses me. I'm not like, I don't act irrationally or anything. But the stuff that I choose to devote my free time to, a lot of the times it's not enjoyable. It's more just like work. And I don't even understand why. But I was trying to think of things that I like, hobbies and things like that, and I simply can't think of any. I can think of lots of stuff that I wish could be a hobby, but what's weird, okay, I don't understand what to do with these little guys. Do I just run from them? I haven't figured out this part of the game. Hi, what do you do? Okay, I'm just gonna... Can I get away from you? I don't... Leave me alone. So... When I was young, I was very good at drawing. I was better at drawing at 11 than I am now, by magnitudes. A considerable amount. And for the longest time, I was so good at it that I didn't know anybody better. And I took a lot of pride in that, which is pretty common. I mean, I went to a really small elementary school, so it wasn't like, there were a bunch of incredible artists or anything. But by junior high, I came across somebody who was better than me at drawing. And at that time, I was struggling to make friends. I generally feel like people didn't like me. I distinctly remember, being made fun of, and sorry, little man, I want gems. I'm just like in real life. I would rather have financial gain than a group of friends in my item bar. I don't know. I'm gonna try to head back home. But I distinctly recall having a sort of, now it's clearly sort of like an identity crisis. Back then, I just was like upset. Oh, pretty. Oh, thank you. Okay. Map nodes to uncover. Oh, I don't know what that means or how that helps, but where's my home? So I freaked out and had... Oh, no. Yeah, eat them all you want. I just want to get away from the music. I'm not here for this. I don't recall this game being so stressful. So I kind of panicked the moment there was somebody else who was perceptibly more talented than I am. It was sort of my first little brush up with reality, apart from the harsher reality of being, ridiculed and mocked. But the hobby that I had found, that I was able to convert into an identity, that I was able to use to protect me and give me a sense of self-worth, suddenly no longer was available to hide behind fully. It wasn't, because it wasn't authentic. Anything that's inauthentic, the moment you start poking holes in it, it falls apart. That holds true for anything. Whether it's people speaking or creating something, or in this case, just quiet self-identity. That the fact that it was a facade and not a true, just honest, normal part of me kind of revealed itself. And I got very sad and depressed, and I stopped drawing. What ended up happening I had a bit of an in-between period where I had nothing. And then I begged my parents to let me get a guitar for my 13th birthday. So, right as junior high was ending, I got a guitar and I started playing, and my friend got a bass. We each got new identities, and I never had to draw again. I essentially didn't. But instead of talking to anybody about what I was feeling or thinking, or why I felt so shattered at the very notion of somebody being more talented than me, like as if I couldn't conceive of it. I mean, I was young. I'm not gonna mock myself or anything, but instead of exploring it or thinking about it, I just got a different identity. And unfortunately, playing guitar as a young boy can be a very advantageous identity to have, because the moment you develop a certain baseline, oh, you know what? I don't want you boys. I want something new. The moment you develop a certain baseline set of talents and you use them to express yourself, people instantly respect you. And at the very least, they want to be around you. Largely people who are more either, it's kind of divided between people who want what you have and people who just want to be near you. In a more romantic way, I guess. The issue with all of that was that I never really needed to develop social skills. It's a far cry from, the drug abuse and things that typical cliche rock stars are allowed to get away with. I mostly just didn't have to struggle to get attention or affection from people. In a very small way. I mean, I make it sound like I was popular, but I wasn't. You can take any young boy with a guitar who's singing about his sadness, and You're going to find 3 girls who are happy to listen to the unbearable SoundCloud recordings. But that identity was so strong, and I held on to it for 9 years. And that's the one that almost destroyed me. When it didn't work based on my perceptions of how it should have worked, when it stopped protecting me and stopped helping me feel a sense of worth, I fell so hard mentally and emotionally. There is this pop-up on the side of the screen. I want it to go away. I haven't been reading it. Check out the lab underneath the conservatory to begin crafting vac upgrades and gadgets. There's a lab under here. Is that star where I'm supposed to go to get there? So the identity of... And what's interesting about music is that you can... There's so many sub-identities you can take on to keep kind of shifting who you are and who you want to be as it pertains to what you're trying to do. It's like if you're not that good at electric guitar or solos, then you're like, oh, I'm just not a lead guitarist. I'm more of a singer-songwriter. You know, and you can just keep... And, you know, it's like, oh, I'm not mainstream and not a lot of people like me. I'm an indie singer-songwriter. You know, you can keep going down this list. And I used to think, when I was young, that as I kept discovering and relabeling as I kept relabeling and changing my role within my identity, I thought I was discovering something new about myself. You know, but what I was doing instead was actually I was just shifting things to suit a false narrative to protect myself. And when I finally faced up to this idea that what I was trying to do wasn't happening and nobody cared, and nobody potentially was ever going to care, I totally panicked. I wasn't supposed to be selling the plorts. I could have been using them for upgrades. It's a resonator. Shakes loose science resources from nodes in the environment. I keep your head in the jetpack. I probably can't get a jetpack, huh? I'm sure this stuff is too advanced for me right now. But I bet I could find cotton plorts and nubucks. Okay. Oh, you're not gonna go away. Okay. Refinery. Huh. Shoot some. Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're telling me that I can get money or I can get treats. I cannot get both. These are treats that money can't buy. I get it. That's basic game stuff. I'm lost. I don't think any of that's the right way to go. So, I kept redefining my own identity until I wasn't embarrassed by it, or until it suited me enough to where it served me. And then I'd always wanted to record an album that I was really proud of, an album that to me sounded like real music, my version of real music, which, you know, as you become more talented, at anything, you notice you have to reach a certain talent point to notice the gap between what you're capable of and what you want to hear. Because when you're new at something, most everything you do is exciting enough to have merit in just the action itself. And then as you get better, you start to kind of think that maybe you're pretty good at what you're trying to do. And it's not until you get much better that you realize how bad you are. You know, as you develop your ear and you give yourself a discerning palate, whatever the hobby is. For me, I had finally recorded an album that I felt sounded like music, and it is actually on Spotify. The album is called "There's Always Something Wrong with Everything." It's like 16 tracks, sort of Beatles-ish, inspired in that sense, in the large track count. I recorded it with a drummer. We spent a long time on it. There are songs that I spent probably years writing, and I spent a year recording the album. And as you would expect from some little homemade album that I couldn't play live because I wasn't a band. I had recorded played everything myself except for the drums. There's no way to tour with it or play shows. And MySpace was coming to an end. I think MySpace might have actually kind of had been dead by the time I finished the album. Basically, no one listened to it. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, wait. No, I need money. So, to me, in my narrow view of wanting my hobbies to result in some kind of functional outcome, I decided that the album was a failure, largely because I hadn't defined what success meant to me in the scope of what I was trying to do and what I could have expected. Which I still struggle with. I still struggle with that now. And I don't know how to deal with it. So this isn't... By the end of this little playthrough, there's no real insight. The moment I could sense that my identity was no longer serving me and that I was going to have kind of a mental breakdown is when I started studying animation. I'm not even joking, like clockwork. I quietly, without telling anybody, I sort of quietly began to abandon music, and I started watching these DVD lectures from a guy named Richard Williams, who was the guy who directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He had these series of DVD lectures on the basics of animation, and somebody had torrented them and put them online, and I found a copy, and I watched them endlessly on repeat, just day in and day out, until I could start to feel that there was potential for me to animate to a degree that I could one day see myself as an animator. And that helped soften the pain of being a failure as a musician, or at least the identity of calling myself a musician stopped hurting, because it had already stopped helping and was starting to hurt, and now the pain of it was starting to fade as I began to learn how to use animation software. Which is so... In retrospect, my whole life has been so naive. I kind of touched on how I became an animator. I'll talk about that more in detail later. For sure. Because luck... Like, everybody talks about how success is preparedness and luck, and I feel like nobody really talks about how much bigger luck is than preparedness. It's wildly unfair. But to wrap this all up, because I have no... Is that a fabric plort that I have? Did I find one? I don't know how to make these. I might have to Google this game in my downtime. Anyway, what I wanted to kind of wrap this up with was by saying I never found a solution. Hi, little man. You're so happy. What do I have? Do you want that? You do not want that. Do you want other creatures? You do not. I forgot my train of thought. He's such a happy boy in the ground, and he's hungry, and I had nothing to give him. There was a time online where younger people would ask me for advice on things. You know, because so many of my songs were very specifically love songs. People would be, they would listen to the songs, and then they would ask me kind of generally, like, if somebody had broke their heart, like what they should do. And there was at least one occasion, I know there was more, where I told them that instead of thinking about the other person, breaking up with them, to instead focus on some skill or hobby that they could throw themselves into and develop and cultivate until they could temporarily put their self-worth into that as a sort of crutch to help them get by. And honestly, you can do a lot with that. The problem is that I'm still doing that. I still do it. I don't need crutches. I have to accept that I walk with a limp and then just keep walking. I don't know what to do. But you know what I would like to do? Is I'd like to start watching movies. Because I think I like watching movies. Even though I feel like I have to force myself to watch them. Because I don't ever want to, ever. I want to try to force myself to. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Because shouldn't hobbies be something you want to do? All I know is that I haven't watched a movie in a long time. Unless I had something I wanted to do and wanted a movie in the background so that I wasn't lonely doing it. But I think I like movies. I'm gonna try to watch one. Not tonight, because it's like 2 a.m. But I'm gonna watch a movie before the next time I try playing this game. And I'll continue talking about stuff. And most likely I'll talk more about how I actually... more details on animation, probably. It's fun. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Goodbye. I'll talk to you later. See ya.